Hello everyone and welcome to Good Rides Only, and today I am in Mulberry Gap in North Georgia in LJ, and I'm here with Kate Gates, who is one of the co-founders of Mulberry Gap. And so we're gonna talk today. Oh no!
Oh no, don't go that way.
All right, so that's gonna stay in the video.
This is real life.
This is real life, and we may get some rain during this interview. So, all right. Well, thanks for being here, Kate.
Yes, thank you. It's so nice to meet you.
It's so nice to meet you too. All right. So, first question: what is Mulberry Gap? Where are we? What inspired you to create a place like this?
Yeah, so we're in LJ, Georgia. So yeah, we're in the North Georgia mountains, depending on what part of Atlanta, about an hour to an hour 15, an hour and a half away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a really cool area. It's actually designated as the mountain bike capital of Georgia, which happened in 2008. It's a really cool spot. We happened to find this place. Our families actually purchased it in 2006, and they just the property wasn't a business when they first found it. It was just kind of a family retreat for another couple that lived in Dalton, Georgia, not far from here. And they kind of stumbled upon it and saw some of the cabins and the camp kitchen and dining hall, and just had this vision of creating an outdoor space for people that wanted to be outside and enjoying nature, and a place that they could stay the night, get some delicious food, stay in a hot tub, grab a hot shower. And so they opened, and the Cohutta Trail had been finished here in 2005. And so the timing of it was just perfect. Mountain bikers were coming to check out this new trail system, and we're swinging by and seeing the amenities and just coming and staying and then telling their friends. So the word of mouth just kind of spread throughout the mountain bike community. So yeah, Andrew and I, my husband, who I run this with now, were just kids when it started. Our parents, this was really their baby and their vision, and it was a lot of work. So they retired from their retirement hobby in the last couple of years. So my mom went back because my brother had a child. It's her only grandson, so she wanted to be present for him. And then Andrew's mom, who did all the cooking for the first 14 years, retired at 80 in 2020 at the end of the season and went back home. And so, yeah, we've mostly been running it for like the last 7 to 8 years, and the moms were still kind of a part of it in bits and pieces. But yeah, it really wasn't our vision when we were that young, but we've kind of grown up with it, and it's become something that we really love and are passionate about. And we are now mountain bikers. We were not when this place started. We really didn't even know the first thing about it. We were just always very outdoorsy, and so it's our crowd, it's our kind of people, we get to hang out with people that are just adventurous and like-minded all the time. And obviously we have great trail and gravel roads and scenery, waterfalls, creeks, all of that just accessible right from our gate. So it's hard to leave.
Yeah.
Hard to leave, but it's we're really, really lucky for it. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are not familiar with the Georgia and Atlanta area, we are, as you said, about an hour and a half north of Atlanta. But when you get here, you feel like you are in the middle of nowhere, and it is amazing.
No cell phone service, really terrible Wi-Fi for the most part. So yeah, you kind of step back in time a little bit, but it's a great disconnect for most people. It's hard to run a business with that sometimes, but we're so used to it now. So yeah. It's nice. You can actually like truly disconnect here still.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, no self-service right now, not at all. So can you talk about a few of the events that go through here? Because you've had a lot of documentaries filmed here. You've had some like incredible endurance events that either start here or pass through here. Yeah. So like, what are some of the things that like you have going on that people might know about?
Yeah, so the most popular is the Trans North Georgia. David Muse actually created that route. It took him, I think, over 10 years to pull that together. And from the very beginning, since the route passed right through here, basically, like the trail picks up half a mile from our gate, he included us from the very beginning in terms of like logistics and planning. It's a point-to-point race, so it starts at the border of South Carolina, goes all the way across North Georgia, and ends at the border of Alabama. And it's about 350 miles in length and about 56,000 feet of climbing. So it's tough. It's hard.
56,000?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that much.
It's a lot. And yeah, it's a solid mixture of road and pavement and trail, so you get a little bit of everything. Super fast. People can crush it in, I think 38 hours is the record. Humans, more like normal humans, like 3 to 5 days is very common, and then you've got the party pacers in the back that are like 7 to 8 days. So you see people out here enjoying it at all times of the year, but the Grand Depart's in August. But this coming year, I think it's number 13. So it's been going on for a while, and it's because it's a point-to-point race. Logistically, it's hard for travel. So we help with like dropping people off at the start and then picking them up at the finish or wherever they quit along the way.
Yeah.
If it just is beyond their means, or they have a mechanical or something like that. So that was really popular. And then I believe in 2016 was the first Cohutta Cat bikepacking race. And that one is put on by Daniel Jesse, or was created by Daniel Jesse. He now puts it on with another friend. And it is named after our in-house cat, Cohutta Cat. And he does have an Instagram, which we can add to this. You guys can follow him. But
wait, that's why it's named that?
It's one of our cat. You'll meet him. I'll make sure you meet him before you leave. Yeah,
I would love that.
He's like 10 years old now, but yeah, he's a funny like cat that is almost like a dog in some ways. Yeah. So, but yeah, we're having a grand depart for that actually later. Well, on like April 23rd, I think, is the grand depart for this year.
Yes.
So it used to be in April. Or I'm sorry, it used to be in November, and they've moved it to April this year. And that one's it's like a figure 8 from here. So it's about 300 miles in length and 34,000 feet, something like that, 34,000 feet. So yeah, another hard one.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of flat or level here. Like we are in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. And so it's pretty much usually up or down.
Yeah.
It's the terrain. So you kind of just get used to climbing out here, or you don't ride a bike very much.
Yes.
We also shuttle, but I don't get the opportunity to take those very much. I've got to climb. So yeah, there's those. And then the Cohutta Trail is also a long distance trail that goes from Flag Mountain in Alabama to about 22 miles north of here is the northern terminus where it ends and connects with the Benton Mecca. So as of recently, like the last 3 to 4 years, we've also been getting a ton of through hikers that are doing through hikes on the Cohutta, and then sometimes connecting Benton Mecca to Springer Mountain to the AT and going on multi-month or multi-year journeys that way.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
So yeah, it's like we get the bike packers and all sorts of cyclists, and then we get the hikers and trail runners. There's also dual sport, like moto, off-road bikes.
I was going to ask you that.
Here.
When I was driving in, I saw a few people on dual sport motorcycles.
Yeah, I think Smoke and Fire comes right in front of our gates, and like, so there's just tons of ways to recreate out here, which is really cool. I mean, it's just, there's people out and about all the time enjoying nature and being in the beautiful mountains. So it's really cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm complaining about the climbing, but like, it's so beautiful out here. It's stunningly beautiful. There's nothing like the lower Appalachian.
And this is like spring, and like the greenery really hasn't even sunk in yet. Like if you come back in like a month, it'll just be like a whole different world. Yeah. It's like the green tunnel. And right now it's really cool because you can still be on trails and see mountains in the distance, like through the trees because the leaves aren't in. But in like a month's time, all that disappears, and you'll still have overlooks at like, you can get, mountain views at the overlooks, but in terms of like on trail stuff, you're a bit more limited just because it's so thick.
Yeah.
But it keeps the temperatures down in the summer. Yeah. So it's really, really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so,
we'll have to get you back.
Yes. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, no, I would love that. I've done like a couple of routes through here, like the New Tula, like we were talking about earlier, and it's like a couple others in like southern South Carolina.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I want to spend some time up here.
Yeah, for sure.
So you've had a lot of interesting people come through here.
Yeah.
Any like interesting stories or like fun tales of interesting guests with interesting stories?
Yeah, I'm trying to think how many are like podcast or interview appropriate in terms of sharing without calling anybody out. Yeah, honestly, we really are lucky. We have like a pretty easy group of people that are just stoked to be in the woods and have a really great time. I will say as a whole, the through hikers tend to be more interesting in terms of like they are typically out in the woods and haven't had much human contact. So when they get here, they're very, very chatty and like hungry for human interaction, which is great.
Yeah.
But they come with like a level of intensity sometimes that can be pretty comical.
Yeah.
And there's also typically a smell that comes with them from not showering for days, which I'm totally used to because of the bikepackers and all of that. Like it does not offend me in the least, but yeah, that can be kind of funny. And then, yeah, we've had some partiers here, not too bad. We've had some interesting nights with that. Especially in the early days, my mom and like Jenny and Andrew could probably do this question a lot better justice than I could. I'd say things are pretty mild, all things considered. Like the rest of the world, you get some quirky people that come in, but there's not really, you just enjoy it, right? Like that's our thing. It's like these people just come in and out of our lives, whether it's, they might be repeat customers, they might just be coming through on a hike or on a bikepacking trip, and you will likely never see them again. But it's so interesting to me to just talk to people, hear their story, hear where they're coming from while they're out doing what they're doing, and kind of just get to know them. I mean, we're all from different walks of life, and we all have different reasons for being out here, but you have the outdoors in common. So it's like, even if you're not connecting on a lot of different things, you can usually find common ground.
Yeah.
And just, it can be a really cool experience. And like I was saying with the dining stuff, it's like we all come together and eat our meals together. So it gives people a really cool way to just get to know everybody else that's here and make friends. And sometimes it has turned into dating relationships and proposals and marriages.
Wow.
And we've seen a little bit of it all. I mean, we've been here, this is our 17th season now. So like people have watched Andrew and I grow up. We've watched their kids grow up. So we're kind of coming like full circle on some things. We've been around long enough for that. But yeah, I mean, no like specific like one-off story that really stands out to me necessarily that I feel like I could share. Put it that way.
We'll talk about that off.
Sorry, guys.
Well, I mean, if there's something that I've learned from getting like deeper and deeper into like bike packing and like cycling is that it attracts the most interesting people.
It really,
all walks of life, of just like different professions, especially people who get into endurance cycling. It's like there's a special type of person who wants to be on the bike for 24 hours or for however long. And so
there's a level of like suffering and like, I would say sometimes the common, especially with the endurance sports, like if you get the weekend warriors and you get like all sorts of course folks out here, but the people that are into like the ultra running and like the long distance hiking and the long distance bike packing and all of that, it's a commonality that I hear and I understand because I fall into this boat too, is it's like, even while you're out there, you're like, oh, this sucks. Like, why do I do this? Why do I call this fun? Sometimes, like when it's bad, when you're hurting and your legs are tired or you're hungry and you're getting rained on and you're cold and just whatever, you're like,
why am I doing this?
I chose this. Like, this is free will. I'm out here. And then as soon as it's done, and you're sitting around a pizza and having a beer or whatever, you're like, when's the next one? Where are we going next time? So it's like there's this, I don't know, I think it just does something to your psyche. I think some people thrive on pushing themselves out of their comfort zones and enjoying that process. And even though it's hard, you also know that you can get through it and it won't last forever. And I think that especially for me, has helped me also learn to deal with real life circumstances better, because I know I can make it through it, and it might suck, but it won't be forever. And if you've got a good support system or a good partner or a good team, with the business or just whatever, all of that helps. And so if you're out on those adventures with a friend, it can make all the difference in the world.
Oh, it can. And you'll never forget this story.
No. And you like immediately have a bond with them on a deeper level than you do with other people. So it's cool.
So tell me, do you have like a favorite memory of this kind of type 2 fun?
Yes.
Please do
probably. So my early days of bikepacking were not pretty. I would do it because I like adventure and I like getting out and traveling. I like pushing myself, but in our earlier years of running this place, like it was an extremely small team. We're still very small, but to the point where like you were working 12 to 14 hours a day, like 7 days a week just to keep up with stuff. Like you didn't have like any auxiliary help or, you know, team members here. And so like training or preparing for a bikepacking race or, you know, a route was really impossible. So the first one we did, we went down to Florida into the Huracan 300 in Florida that Single Track Samurai puts on.
Yeah, I've done part of it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's hard. It's hard.
And I think the longest I had been on a bike at that point was maybe 40 miles and never bike packed, like off the couch onto a Surly Krampus, fully loaded. Riding in Florida, at least it was relatively flat, although that route has a lot more climbing than I would think Florida would have.
It's a lot of climbing.
But I remember just being like, what? But we did it in like 4.5 days, which was considered pretty chill pace. In one day we went like 90 miles, which was, I just thought was the most epic thing ever for me. It was crazy. And that was just a cool day that I just pushed myself. I went further than I thought my body could go. So it was one of those things where I just like added a little notch on my belt in terms of like confidence level personally. And then later that year, the first ever Cohutta Cat happened and we did it out of here and I was sick. Stress levels were very high due to business stuff going on, but we had this thing planned for Andrew and I's anniversary and his birthday. And so we were going out and we went with some friends and I wanted to quit every single foot along that route. And
it's all single track, isn't it?
No, it's not.
It's not.
There's a lot of gravel. There's some pavement for sure. There's a fair amount of single track. But it's hard. And I did not have the fitness for it. And I was the only girl, which is usually how it is or was back then. It's improved for me the last couple of years, but it was just like always me and my husband, who's much stronger than me, and all of his friends who are much stronger than me. So it's me riding in the back and all of them way up there on the climbs. And they'd get up there and they'd be snacking and laughing and having a good time. And I'd just be back there like suffering. Finally make it up there. And they'd be like, all right, you ready to go? I'm like, no, like you had 20 minutes of, you know, recovery and all that. So we did find a pace that worked and they were very patient and kind. And but I was just like, you know, like my mom is just a phone call away. She could pick me up in 30 minutes and I could get off this route anytime I wanted. And they just would not let me quit, which I look back on and I really appreciated them pushing me. It got to the point where, because I didn't know the first thing about nutrition, and again, I was not trained, my whole body swelled up. So like 3 days in, it's like, I just felt like a stuffed sausage is the only way I could really like explain it. Like my skin was just so tight and it felt like if you like squatted down to filter water, like everything hurt. It was really bad. I thought that I could alleviate some of the swelling in my legs by sleeping like at a little angle. And all I did was wake up the next day and like my whole face, like I could barely open my eyes. I still have these ridiculous selfies from that morning where I was just like it was a reality check for me.
Yeah, it looks like you got stung by bees.
Yeah, it was so bad. And like I woke up and I crawled out of the tent and all the guys were like, oh, you know. It was bad.
Oh God.
And then there was one climb in particular up, I think Mulberry Gap, that I had a meltdown on. I was just done. I was over it. I did not want to climb anymore. We got to the top of that. We descend. It's kind of like a rocky technical descent and I crashed. And I was done. I was pissed. I did not want to be out here anymore. So I just sat my bike down and I just sat and I was like, I'm not getting back on it right now.
Yeah.
And so enough time went by to where Andrew, my husband, was concerned. So he came back and he just saw me sitting there pouting trailside, just, you know, whatever, having a little pity party. And he kind of comes up and he's trying to, you know, talk to me and he's trying to make me feel better. He's got his arm around me and trying to say all the right things, and he kind of adds like, well, you can do this, it's gonna be fine, we only have so many miles left, blah blah blah, we can get it done in this amount of time. And at the end he's like, man, you really stink. And I was like, really? This is what we're gonna throw into this at the end of this ride? It's like, I don't just need to hear that right now.
Oh my God.
And I remember just being like, no, Those are
This is not what I need to hear right now. What?
But yeah, it was one of those things, like, it did make me laugh. And, there's just tears coming out. I'm like snot everywhere. It was just not my best moment. But I finished it. My mom was here at the top crying for me when I got done because she knew how much I was out there struggling. And they really were like such a great group for me to be with on that trip, because I think they were more stoked for me to finish than I was. And it took a couple of days for me to be like, okay, I did it. It was really hard. I wanted to quit almost the entire time. I was sick most of the trip too. We also had fires happening out in this forest at the time. This was like the fires.
Was it 2016?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It was bad. Like you were just like inhaling smoke a lot, and but like I'll never forget that trip and what it did for me, and some of like just the memories along the way. And I would definitely call that trip type 2 fun, but the reward was so great. And the suffering was absolutely worth it. And now I just laugh. Like we laugh about that trip all the time now, because it was just, and I've come a long way since then. Like, so yeah, it's one thing, like I actually share that story quite a bit, because I think people are really scared or intimidated to suffer in that way. But if you can get past it, it's worth it. At least for me, but maybe that's not how everybody sees those sorts of adventures. I don't know.
I mean, what's a bikepacking trip without a good cry?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe
I have cried.
Yeah,
I have cried on many bikepacking trips.
It is at that, but it's like, I don't know, being out there and pushing yourself also brings about so many emotions.
Yes.
Like you can have huge highs out there, and then you can also have
the lowest of lows.
Oh.
Yeah.
You can question everything in life that got you to this point. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because like it's all part of the process. You just have to know, like, don't make any big decisions when you're going through those times. Just like feel it, be present in it, get past it. Okay.
I think that's really good advice. For just when you do any kind of bikepacking or any kind of like cycling where you're pushing yourself, whether it's like a few miles or 100 miles.
Yeah.
I feel like whenever I'm out in the woods on the bike, it brings out things in you that you just do not feel when you are just day to day.
Yeah, because you're in your routine, you're in your comfort zone, you know what to expect most days. Like, and as hard and challenging as it can be, there's so much good that comes out of all that unexpected difficulty and challenge. And it's not always obvious and apparent right away. But it'll come up for you maybe days or weeks or years later. And that can be, finding those little like aha moments can be kind of addicting in their own way.
And I think too, like those dark places that you go when you're like throwing your bike off the trail and you're just like, I can't do this anymore. It's like helps process too. It's like it's working through you, all those emotions, all those thoughts.
Well, and that's life, right? Like life, you're gonna have dark moments. So not that anybody wants to like sit there and chill in dark moments all the time, but if you're there every now and then, I think it does help you realize that when you end up there again, it's another reminder. I know I keep saying this, but like you won't be there forever. It'll pass. And physical activity for me is a way to get out of those things. Like, it is kind of a lifesaver for me. It really helps me be a better human.
I mean, and life is like not all great all the time.
No, there's plenty of suck in there.
There's a lot of suck.
It's okay.
There is. No, I think that's really beautiful. All right. So maybe for some more like lighter.
It was a long story. Sorry.
No, I loved it. I thought it was great. So what bike do you ride? Do you have a favorite bike? Do you have favorite pieces of gear for bike packing or any kind of stuff that you do?
That's a good question. I love all my bikes because they all serve a different purpose.
Yes.
I've got a full suspension that's great. Just for the trails around here, it's really fun to just ride that. So I only had a Surly Krampus for a while, which is fully rigid, and it was running like 3.0s around here, which was pretty rough. But I didn't know that because it was the only bike I had. And then I got a full suspension and I was like, whoa. So I have a Juliana for my full suspension, and then I got a gravel bike because I got really into gravel in like 2008 18, and our buddies worked for Y Cycles, so I got R Plus. I know, it's a really nice bike. It was a demo, it was a used demo, and I got a really great deal on it. And my husband was like, "You got to jump on this." I was like, "Yeah, okay."
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, so that has been like my baby. I love that thing. And then Andrew had a Y Wayward that was a little too small for him, so I just got his hand-me-down last fall, and we did the TNGA section on that bike, which was really cool. And it's a hardtail, and so I haven't actually gotten to ride that one a ton yet, but those are my 3 bikes, and I love them all. They all serve like their own purpose, and they're great in their own way, and it's really hard to have one bike that's perfect for out here, but if I only had one, then that would be fine too, because you can make it work. Yeah, it depends on your riding style. But yeah, gear. I've got rock ice bags on both of my Ys, and those are, I just always have them with me, even if I'm not hardly carrying anything in them. And it's just nice to like stick a jacket in there, or always have extra snacks. I love snacks, so. Yeah, I just love being prepared for stuff like that.
Yeah.
Having ways to carry volume if I need it is a nice comfort zone for me.
Yeah.
Water filter, food, jacket, because I'm always cold. So that helps.
Yes, definitely. And definitely plenty of room for snacks.
Yes, snacks and naps. Team Snacks and Naps is our,
yes,
that's our bikepacking group's little name. It's like, we just go chill. We have lots of food. I've been known to take a nap in the middle of races, or, like whatever.
When you were racing, or when? Nice.
I don't race. I participate. Yeah. But
party based.
Yeah, that's right. But I'll like find a shady tree and just be like, 10 minutes, I'm going down.
Yeah. Who doesn't love a good nap?
Right. That's my style of riding.
I love that.
Yeah, it's fine.
So what's next for you? What's any upcoming races? Any trips?
We don't have anything solid yet. Race schedule this year and last year is pretty much non-existent. It's hard for us to commit to weekends a lot. I did Unbound and like DK a couple of times. We've done Mid-South. We've done some of like the bigger ones, and I love the energy of those. But I also really love like the smaller, just underground like stuff. And I like to be able to go with Andrew. And a lot of times if one of us is racing mid-season, the other one can't go because we have to be here. So the next thing that we were talking about, we've got our 10-year wedding anniversary coming up in November, but we're going to celebrate it via a bikepacking trip this winter. And
that's exciting.
Yeah. So we're looking at routes. We've been scoping out bikepacking.com and just trying to find, we'll probably end up in Latin America somewhere, just due to like temperatures. So we're scouting a couple of routes down there and just trying to figure out what we could be trained for, because some of them are pretty gnarly, like an elevation.
Hard. Yeah.
He's looking at stuff with like 8 to 16,000 feet of elevation. I'm like, it's not, I don't know about all that. We don't have a way to really train for that super easily here, and the temperatures get much colder and all of that. So we did a bikepacking trip in Costa Rica in 2018, which we really, really loved. And that route has now been extended from like 180 miles to 400 and something. So we might go back and do that one.
That's lovely.
We've also wanted to do the Baja, or at least parts of it, depending on timing. So it's in the works.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I like having something to look forward to. So
yeah, I've never bikepacked in Latin America. I would love to.
It's such a cool way to travel for us. Like, we did 2 weeks in Costa Rica on that trip, and like a week of it was the bike, and another week we had like a rental car, and our only regret was that we just didn't do the whole thing by bike. It's just you see so much more of a country, and like smell the smells, and like actually talk to people more, and just engage in the culture and the community. And I don't know, it's more intimate. Yeah. So it's a way, we really enjoyed doing it. So yeah, we want to we haven't done it in a couple of years because we had an aging dog who has since passed. So now we've got a little more freedom to get back down there for a few weeks.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think bikepacking in general, like even bikepacking around like town and near Atlanta and like up here, like it brings you to places that you never would have expected, like little like tiny hole in the wall gas stations with the best sandwich you've ever had, and like, et cetera, et cetera. And you talk to people, and everyone is just like, what are you doing on a bike? Why are you doing this on a bike?
So much conversation happens, and you're just more likely to pop in and engage with people. because there's like not a sheet of glass or metal in between you, and so suddenly like your human senses become more like basic, or just I don't know, they're more upfront in your day-to-day interactions. It's interesting. Yeah, and it doesn't have to. I know some people are really intimidated by the bikepacking thing because they think it has to be this big grand trip, and it doesn't. Like you can literally go 10 miles down the road and just, find some. Maybe not like in the inner city. You have to obviously have a place maybe that you want to camp, but it doesn't have to be super hard.
Yeah, it can be close to home.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. All right, so we have our last round.
Okay.
Our last set of questions. So this is our rapid fire questions. So let's see how this goes.
Okay. I'll try to keep them brief answers too.
They're like either yes or no questions,
perfect.
or like this or that.
Okay.
All right, I've got 12 for you.
All right, let's do it.
Would you rather run a marathon or bike a century?
Bike a century.
Okay. Do you believe in ghosts?
Ooh. No.
Hell. Okay. Would you rather race the TNGA, and the TNGA, for those of you who don't remember, it's the Trans-North Georgia, or the Great Divide?
Ooh. Great Divide, just because that's been on our list for 10 years, and Trans-North Georgia is great, but I've already done a section of it. So
Yeah.
I want to go out there.
Yeah. I like want to. I'm terrified of grizzly bears. It's like...
Yeah, it's a real thing.
Yeah, it's a thing. It is a thing. Black bears here, like, don't bother me.
Yeah.
They're not, you don't have to be afraid of them, but yeah, grizzly bears, so that's a whole nother topic for another podcast.
Yeah.
Last book you read?
Ooh, I am actually still reading a book called Soundtracks by John Acuff. It's pretty good.
Okay. Fiction?
So it's a couple of his books, or no, it's nonfiction. And yeah, I've read a couple of his books. They're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll have to check it out. Last podcast you listened to?
Oh, what's it called? I just listened to it this morning. The one with the Ecuadorian bikepacking trip. I think it's called, hang on, let me pull it up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go for it.
I don't want to like offend these people by getting their podcast wrong. Adventure Sports Podcast.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
It's good.
All right, I will link that in the description. Favorite cycling snack?
Ooh. I really like apples on my trips. I like real food or peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, I like
classic.
that too.
It's safe. It doesn't make my stomach go.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah. I really struggle with the gas station stuff on these trips, but you just have to power through.
You do. I like real food too, though. Flat bars or drops?
For the most part, flat, but I do have drop bars, and I love them when appropriate.
Okay.
I can't really answer that right, but
both is an acceptable answer.
Yeah, it depends on the terrain.
Yeah. Single track or gravel?
Neither. Both. I can't choose.
Okay.
That one's really I really love both.
Mm-hmm. All right. Both is also an acceptable answer. Okay. Clipless or flats?
Clipless.
Okay. Same.
Yeah.
Pizza or wings?
Pizza.
Tropical beach or mountain lake?
Mountain lake.
Yeah.
With the tropical beach temperature, maybe?
Yeah.
I like it warm, sunny.
Sometimes it gets like that here.
Like a lizard.
Yeah.
You need to be like on a rock.
Yeah. It does get cold up here.
It can,
You wouldn't think we're in the south, but it gets really cold.
Yes.
Last question, coffee or tea?
Oh, both. I drink coffee every morning. I drink tea like literally every night. Okay. So I don't know that I could choose because I don't want to give up either.
Okay. All right. Both, again, acceptable answer.
Yes.
All right. Well, this is a lovely conversation, Kate. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can you tell us where we can find you?
Yeah. Our website is mulberrygap.com, and then we are on Instagram and Facebook under Mulberry Gap Adventure Base Camp.
Yes. Awesome. And I will put that in the description below, and I will see you guys next time.